Now for more, Nina Japoritse joins us. She's the Vice President at market research firm Ipsos in North America. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, a lot of people are looking at Trump's victory and wondering, is this essentially a rejection of globalization? We also saw that he's eyeing a trade deal critic in Wilbur Ross for Commerce Secretary. What should people make of all this?
President-elect Trump's victory in November came as a surprise to many around the world as well, and all of us are trying to understand what is it that the American public is telling us, what signal are they sending, and one could easily conclude that the vote that we witnessed in November is a rejection of the narrative around globalization that has been advanced by many elites, political elites, economic elites, the narrative that describes globalization as good for all, win-win for all, and we clearly cannot agree with that conclusion given the outcome of November elections or Brexit or other trends that we're witnessing around Europe.
And President Obama actually said that world leaders mishandled globalization, as you mentioned, some of these wealth disparities, which then led to some of these political outcomes we're seeing in the US, and of course with the UK's vote to leave the EU. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, UK's vote to leave a European Union, again, was a surprise, right? No one was expecting that. Perhaps even Johnson was not expecting to see that outcome. And if you live in the UK, if you live in Great Britain, you see how you go to a restaurant or you call for a given service around your home that needs fixing, and then who comes to do the work, or who are your waiters? A lot of these interactions end up being interactions with non-UK born residents. So we are witnessing the response to a fear of increased migration and dislocation of natives. So nativism, rise in nationalism, and rejection of really free trade, free borders, and that's what we're perhaps witnessing right now in the rhetoric of President-elect Trump.
So with that being said, since we keep seeing these surprises, are they not going to be so surprising anymore? Can we really expect this sentiment to start changing then as we look at how people are viewing global trade?
Yeah. The sentiment will not change if the policies remain the same. If globalization, institutions that drive it, continue to focus only on the interests of the developed world, right? Accessing greater markets for their goods without taking into account interests of second or other developing countries, finding solutions that are cookie cutter solutions, right? Not taking into account really the local realities, forgetting that with the benefits of globalization, and there are many, for example, increase in employment for women, more equal rights, reduction in child labor. These are indeed wonderful achievements.
Now, what about some of the risks and challenges?
Risks and challenges. Will we be requiring of international organizations and companies to be thinking of issues such as corporate social responsibility, investing in those societies where they are investing because business drives them there, but are they also at the same time thinking of the communities that their business is impacting, whether it's environmental impact or other concerns?
Now, Nina, for global citizens who obviously they see globalization as something that a lot of countries are adapting to, are there some better strategies then that would lead to more inclusive growth so that people don't feel so disenfranchised?
The better strategies would require better leadership and recognition that solutions have to include interests of societies where globalization takes corporations as well. So thinking of greater inclusion and benefits that companies could actually give to local communities. There has been very little focus on that.
And Nina, just quickly, in terms of lessons, what can the US learn from what's happened with Brexit and its relationship with the EU?
The lessons from Brexit is that decisions are made. It's hard to implement them. Sometimes you're caught in a surprise. Does the UK have a policy, a plan? There's been a recent report issued that shows that perhaps there is not a plan. Clearly, Prime Minister May disagrees with that, but the time will show whether Britain will really be ready to exit EU within 2 years.
That time will certainly tell, indeed. We'll have to leave it there.
Yep.
Nina Japaridze, Vice President of Ipsos in North America. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.